So there are so many yummy vegetarian options out there. You could try like lentil soup, veggie burgers, tofu stir fry. The possibilities are endless. Welcome to the Explainer. So you're running a small business here in Canada, and you just made a huge purchase. That new piece of gear that's going to change everything? Awesome. But then that little voice in your head kicks in. Can I write this whole thing off on my taxes? It's a question that trips up so many people, and getting it wrong can be a real headache. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you handle those big purchases and turn them into smart tax savings.
Okay, so let's jump right into a problem that, trust me, almost every business owner faces. You get super excited to invest in your company, you buy something big, and then you hit the tax rules. And, well, they can feel like a total minefield.
Let's talk about Jared. He's a computer whiz, and he just dropped $2,000 on a beast of a new machine. And his first thought? Perfect, that's a $2,000 business expense. I'm just going to deduct the whole thing. I mean, it makes sense, right? It seems totally logical. But not so fast. See, the Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA, they look at it a little differently. They see that computer and think, hey, this isn't just a one-and-done expense. This thing is going to be helping Jared's business for years. And that, right there, makes it what's called a capital asset. And capital assets, they have their own special rule book when it comes to taxes. So if Jared can't just write off the whole $2,000 right away, what's he supposed to do? How does he actually get his tax savings back? Well, the answer is a term you absolutely need to know: capital cost allowance. First things first, we got to get this difference clear in our heads. On one hand, you've got your current expenses. Think of these as the everyday stuff you use up pretty quick. Paper for the printer, pens, coffee for the office. You buy it, you use it. You deduct the full cost that year. Simple. But then you've got the capital expenses. This is the big stuff, the long-haul players. Jared's computer, a delivery van, that fancy new desk. And these guys, they're treated completely differently. And this is exactly where capital cost allowance, or CCA, steps in. You can think of it as the CRA's way of saying, we get it. That big thing you bought is losing value over time. It's getting older, there's wear and tear. So CCA lets you deduct a slice of that asset's cost each year, kind of matching the value it's losing while it's helping you make money. Okay, that sounds good in theory, right? But how do you actually calculate this thing? It's not just a random number you get to pick. The CRA has a really specific system for this. So what the CRA does is they sort every possible capital asset into these different classes, and each class gets its own special percentage rate for the deduction. For example, office furniture, that's usually in Class 8, which has a 20% rate. A car or truck could be in Class 10 at 30%. And what about Jared's shiny new computer? It gets put into Class 50, which has a really generous 55% rate. So the first step is always finding out which class your new toy belongs to. All right, now listen up, because this next part is probably the most important rule for any new purchase. It's called the half-year rule, and it's a big one. It doesn't matter if you bought that asset on January 1st or December 30th. In that first year, you can only claim your deduction, your CCA, on half of its value. So for Jared's $2,000 computer, the first thing he has to do is cut that number in half, down to $1,000. Then he applies that 55% CCA rate. So his first-year deduction isn't $1,100 like you might think. It's actually $550. Big difference, right? Okay, so once you get the hang of the mechanics, this whole CCA thing stops being just a boring tax calculation. It actually becomes a super powerful tool for making smarter decisions in your business. Let's take that age-old question: should I buy or lease a company car? If you buy it, you own a capital asset, and you'll be claiming CCA on it for years to come. But if you lease it, well, those lease payments are just a regular current expense. You deduct the full payment every month. See the difference? There's no single right answer here. The best choice from a tax perspective really depends on your business's cash flow and your long-term plans. And this same kind of thinking applies to fixing things versus upgrading them. Let's say you get a flat tire on your delivery van. Fixing it is a simple repair. That's a current expense, and you deduct the whole cost right away. But what if you decide to replace the entire engine with a brand new one that's going to make the van last another 5 years? That's not a repair. That's a major improvement. The cost for that new engine has to be capitalized, added to the value of the van, and then you write it off over time using CCA, just like you did with the van in the first place. So when you boil it all down, getting a grip on capital cost allowance isn't just about filling out your tax forms correctly. It's really about starting to see your business's assets the way the CRA does. It changes how you think about big purchases, how you weigh buying versus leasing, and how you manage your equipment over its entire life. Getting this right isn't just about saving a bit of tax money here and there. It's a fundamental part of building a really smart, financially efficient, and profitable company. So I'll leave you with this. Are your big purchases really working as hard for you on your tax return as they are in your day-to-day business?